Hey, Las Vegas, thanks for joining us back here at Vegas Realty. Check your local Las Vegas real estate news show. I am Trish Williams.
And I'm Tiana Carroll. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And like always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with all the Las Vegas real estate news.
Yep, hit that notification bell.
Yep, if you're on the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell. You don't want to miss a thing. We're here every Thursday.
Absolutely, and we're here in August, third week of the month, wrapping it up, up the month next week.
And it's nuts, right?
Yeah,
the end of summer.
End of summer.
End of summer for children. They're already back in school, but we still have our beautiful summer weather.
Yeah, we got the school zones popping off again. That's great. Always good for getting places on time.
Yeah, the first week or two, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this is a school zone.
Forgot this is a thing. But yeah, we're back here, and this year is going by pretty quickly, and our inventory, as we've been talking about over the last few weeks, has been going up a bit. So we are still under 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that might be different next week, the way we're creeping up about 100, 150 a week. That'll change it, because today we're at 4,876 single-family residents available in the Las Vegas Valley.
Yep. And as always, rates have been driving activity and driving back activity also, because we seen a little drop in rates a week or two ago.
Yep.
And that just boosted, got a lot of people out there shopping.
The whole week sounded like this: ring, 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 ring.
And then they leveled out, and people and the activity kind of leveled out along with it.
Yeah,
So,
and all the national news is like, rates will be dropping in September, rates will be dropping in September. So everybody's getting their ducks in a row so they could all jump into a feeding frenzy of purchase.
yeah.
So there's that.
They had economic reports came out, and they were not looking so good.
Right.
And that is, I guess the good thing about that is going to definitely motivate that rate decrease in September.
Absolutely.
So because of that, we are still looking forward to seeing that. And I've been hearing so many people. I had someone called me yesterday, and they said the market's dropping in October. Is that true? And I was like, wow, I wish I knew.
You're like, oh, well, if I had a crystal ball, I would let you know.
Yeah, I don't think we have like a timestamp that says like this day this is going to happen. But also, please, one thing to keep in mind is you're seeing these reports, as you're reading these reports, we have so many buyers on sidelines, and if we do see a decrease in those rates, those are going to pull those buyers back in the market, and pulling those buyers back in the market will prevent the market from dropping. And so it could go either way, and really it's unpredictable. Everybody has their own opinions, but they don't really mean much.
I love that everybody is so optimistic in that the market is always going to crash and they're going to get a good deal. But through summer, we had low inventory, so that sustained our values. And then when the interest rates drop, then what's going to sustain our values is going to be competition.
Yeah, and I do believe those interest rates dropping is also going to drop that inventory. So we're about 30 days away from that happening, and seeing what's going to happen there. And, of course, what kind of adjustment are they going to make? I mean, is it going to be a major rate cut?
Right.
Is it going to be just a little percentage of a point? Like, what are we talking about? So that's going to make a big difference as well.
Well, they drastically raised, but I don't think they're going to drastically cut.
Yeah.
I think if they get, I don't know, I think if they just come down a little, they'll be like, good enough, let's see how that goes for a month or two, and then, kind of revisit it.
Yeah, and when they were doing the increases, they were doing it at about half a point to a quarter a point per increment. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking those adjustments coming down are going to be about the same. But we'll see. We don't get to make those decisions. They do. And also, just another quick reminder, it doesn't immediately, sometimes it immediately affects the rates, the mortgage rates, because it's, it's like the stock market, different activity will affect the rates in different ways. But sometimes it takes a few weeks for the Fed rate to pour over into the mortgage rates.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
I'm like, yes, I'm with you on that. Yeah, no, it does take a minute, and it's not always. Sometimes mortgages will get excited when the Fed cuts, and they'll be like, hey, let's make a cut and keep, the fires burning or whatever. But yes, it's them borrowing money trickling down to you borrowing money from the lender. So it's going to take a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that. I think a lot of us learned that back when during COVID, when mortgage rates went to zero, and then, or not mortgage rates, Fed rates went to zero,
Yeah.
and then everybody was calling us like, "Hey, can I refinance my mortgage at 0%?" And we were like, "No,
It's not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
So,
Two different rates on money and on who's borrowing the money too.
right. Okay, so back to our numbers. What did we sell last week?
We sold 442 homes last week, which is a pretty good week.
It's a pretty good week. A little bit less than we were seeing a few months ago, but we just talked about why that's happening.
Yep.
Those price decreases dropped.
I know. I love that too. I was like, oh, so that's a little competition going there because our price decreases are at 542, so mid fives when they were up into mid sixes.
Yes.
So.
And those under contracts are okay, a little bit less than we've been
solid,
seeing.
but yeah, less than we've been seeing, but they're definitely solid.
Yeah, those are at 497 for the week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all in all, our numbers sort of look like they're doing the same thing. Inventory is increasing. The amount of solds and price decreases are ticking down. Again, if those interest rates change, that's going to change because it'll be sold.
Yeah, we will see. We will definitely, I believe, without a doubt at all, we will see some definite changes in numbers and activity from rate increases.
Yeah. I have to agree with that too. And I think it's going to happen fast. And I always advocate, like, if you are looking to get into the market, that right now is this little sweet spot because you can start getting your ducks in a row and talking to your lender, getting your letter, maybe even doing some shopping. And by the time those rates do drop, you might be in a contract to where we can lock that rate in, and then you're avoiding the competition.
Right, and the buyers that we've been getting into contract lately have been getting some sweet deals.
Sweet deals. So many sweet deals out there.
Concessions paid. It's been looking good. We got some happy buyers right now, so that is good.
Yeah.
Definitely, best time to shop is when everybody else is not.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you missed this, then come back and see us at Christmas. That'll be another good time to shop.
We do, though, get those end of year buyers in December.
We always do.
I'm like, who are these? The CPAs. I always hear this, like, my CPA said I need to purchase a home before the end of the year. And I'm like, wow, okay.
That's my kind of CPA.
That's my kind of CPA, too. I like them. Okay, so we got some listener questions. If you are watching our show and you do have any questions on real estate, send us your questions. realtycheck.vegas. There's a little tab there to submit listener questions.
Yep.
You can call us, you can text us, or hey.
That's also our link tree. So if you ever want any information on us, you know where to go.
Right. And a lot of questions that I gather just out and about with people. And I'm like, hey, that's a good question. We'll talk about it on the show.
You're like, let me write that in my notebook.
Yeah. So yeah, our first question comes from Michael, and this is common. I'm sure we've discussed this so many times before, but legitimate question that many sellers have. Michael wants to go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to sell my house before purchasing, and I don't want to move twice because moving is awful.
Oh, well, yeah, and if you're paying movers, it's costly, right?
Yeah,
Right? That can be very expensive. So.
Yeah, so I get this question all the time at listings. Like, how am I gonna sell this and then move into another house where I only have to move once and I don't want to be inconvenienced and all the yucky stuff that comes with having to get a new home.
Yeah, so there's basically two options for that.
Yeah.
First option would be the contingent upon sale.
Yep. So we have a contingent upon sale addendum here in the Valley, and that basically means like I can buy your house as long as I sell this house. So then you're running a congruent escrow for both properties.
So pros and cons about that contingent upon sale does help you prevent from moving twice. Mm-hmm. If everything works out and goes as to plan, it's a very convenient method to use.
Right. I would say it's the most common.
I mean, I would say leasebacks are most common, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Leasebacks I think were most common, like especially in the height of the pandemic rush, but I'm seeing less and less leasebacks now.
Okay. So the contingent upon sale will have that when you submit your offer, and we always advise, there's a few ways to do contingent upon sale. There's times, and it depends on if the seller will even consider or accept it, where people will submit an offer contingent upon sale without their home being in escrow first.
Or they try and do it and their home's not even listed yet.
So very seldom do sellers accept those offers, but I've seen it happen. What that does, though, to the seller is it kind of backs you into a corner.
Right. Now you're stuck in a contract.
Now you're stuck in a contract, and you have a timeline of getting your home on the market, getting your home sold, finding a buyer, which means that you're kind of desperate for that buyer, and it doesn't really help you in your negotiations because time is of the essence.
Yeah.
So that does, I think that compromises the sellers in a way to do it that way. So what we recommend is the best time to go into contract on your purchase when you're doing a contingent upon sale, and what most sellers and listing agents will advocate or go for, and look as seeing, as something reasonable to take into consideration, is after you've done your due diligence. Once your buyers have done their home inspections, your past due diligence, some people say that they won't accept a contract till it's past appraisal.
Well, there's all different scenarios, right? When it comes to that contingent upon sale. And then last year they introduced the contingent upon sale. They made a change to it where the seller isn't backed into the corner in the way that they used to, that they can accept another offer during that.
If it's better, they have to present it, show the terms, and things like that. Yeah. And then also, so when you're in that contingent upon sale, basically that just says the purchase of your home. If the sale of your home falls through, there's a certain date that's usually your closing date or your buyer's loan contingency or something like that. If it falls through before that date, you're able to get out of the contract without basically any repercussions. You get your EMD back, all of that stuff. But another challenge that we see with that is if you're doing financing on your purchase, and you're doing this contingent upon sale, you're selling your home, you're doing financing on the purchase. Most people need the funds from the sale to do their down payment for the financing of the purchase, but to schedule that all to happen by the exact closing date.
Yeah, it's like walking a tightrope, man.
There's so many.
We're earning our money at that point. That's all I'm saying.
There's so many unknown factors that could happen, So just one thing can throw a curveball to the whole situation. And I mean, I've had it where we're like down to the wire, like we need the closing funds deposited right now, or we're not closing in time. And it's not really all about closing in time because the moving truck is sitting outside and ready to move into this new house, and we need to close on time. So yes, definitely so many factors.
It's stressful.
It can be chaotic. Stressful.
It can definitely be stressful if that were the situation.
And talk about stressing your realtor out. Come on,
I don't think that people really realize how many people are in the sandbox playing during a real estate transaction. And so if you're having one house, it's a lot of people. If you're having two houses, or even at this point 3 houses, where you're selling a house, a buyer is buying your house and you're buying another house, then you have 3 sort of complete groups of people in the sandbox sort of navigating these waters, and somebody has to keep them all on track.
Yeah, and then every once in a while, does not happen often, but does happen, Fed flags a wire.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Yeah. Like, this is the one, you didn't have enough kinks in your transaction. Let's just sprinkle a little more.
Yeah, just for quality control,
Exactly.
So they'll have it under review, so the wire transfer gets delayed, and it's like, no, not now. But very stressful. So that is an option.
It is an option, and it is it can be incredibly stressful. Now, all transactions aren't that stressful. I don't have wood to knock on. I'm knocking on plastic, tap, microphone, phone, whatever I can get. I've had pretty good luck with congruent sales.
Yeah, and so have I. It's been good, but so even though if they may not be common, with everybody right now, I'm not sure. I would say about at least 50% of my sellers are doing leasebacks.
Yeah, leasebacks are a very good option. I do like a lease back. I know there's a lot of, things you have to protect insurance and things you have to put in place to make sure that the lease back is done correctly and everybody is covered.
Yeah.
But it does relieve the stress, at least for the seller looking to buy.
Yeah, so in summary, we have what's called a post-possession addendum. Okay, so this post-possession addendum lays out the terms of a leaseback. So you are able as a seller, and of course, buyer has to agree to this. Some buyers say, I just can't do it. I need to move in the house when I close. So the buyer has to agree to the terms and agree to the lease back, which is all something we negotiate up front. And there's some sellers that say, if the buyer's not willing to offer a lease back, I'm not willing to sell the home to them.
Right.
And that's very common. And I've had many sellers in that situation. But
yeah, and that's another spot where it's such a great, a buyer's agent having those conversations with the list agent before offers are written, being like, hey, what would your seller really appreciate? And they'll be like, a lease back. And I'll be like, I got you, kid.
I put it in the listing, that this is, especially if it's mandatory. I'm like, this is what we need. But the lease back gives you the option to close on your home, have that money deposited to your account. So there's no unknowns, is it going to close? Is the appraisal going to come in low? What if the money's not what I thought it was going to be? It's already there. And leasebacks we can do. Most buyers that are financing their loan will let them do a leaseback for up to 90 days.
Yep.
A lot of buyers don't want to do it for that long. So I'd say 30 to 60 days is more common of what we see for that.
Yeah, and that's good because our market is like a 30 to 45 day market. So
Right.
even if a seller didn't do anything until the house closed, they should be out of that house within that 30 to 45 days in a new home.
Yes. And the leaseback also, we have that addendum. So what the addendum states is that the seller gets to stay in the home as a tenant. Usually they pay rent to the new buyer. Those are all items of negotiation.
I was going to say that's negotiable because
Sometimes
a
they
good
don't.
buyer's agent will get you in there for free.
Yeah, well, it depends on the terms, right? So
Yeah.
there's factors. And then there's a deposit holdback. Always recommend the deposit holdback. It's just a security deposit. Things can happen. So
Yep, and that's held in escrow. So we got a third party who is making sure that that money is protected.
Yep, the security deposit, and if there's rent involved, the rent is also held back in escrow, so you're not trying to chase down the other party after closing.
Correct.
This leaseback addendum states that the seller does not have Nevada tenancy laws. So it's not like you're going to have to give the seller a 30-day notice to get out. It's exempt from that, and that's what this post addendum explains, is that is not the case here.
Right.
That this is the terms of the agreement. It's a temporary agreement, and
Right.
the dates are firm dates.
Right, because the seller of the house isn't signing a new lease to be a tenant with them. This is just the terms of the actual purchase of the house.
Yes. And then also the seller is responsible for any maintenance. That dishwasher breaks during
Yep.
the leaseback, the seller still has to fix it, even though they are no longer the owner of the house.
Yep, and they have to carry insurance.
And they have to carry insurance. They have to carry renter's insurance during that term. And the buyer, there is a term in that post addendum that says that the buyer has no liability for anything during that leaseback
Yep.
period. So post addendum is very important. I have seen agents that talked about leasebacks but glazed over the post addendum, and I'm like, no.
That's a pretty good form. Let's keep that one.
Let's keep that one, and
That's
do
good
not
protections, y'all.
even if
Good
it's a day or
protections.
two. Yeah, even if it's a day or two, we do not want a lease back for if you do not have that post addendum, because that is a protection for all parties. And most sellers, when they're doing this buy, purchase, whatever, after the appraisal's done, after everything's done, they move forward with their purchase. And I see that 90% of the time, the sellers don't even need the full term.
Exactly.
So we always do
They're
up to.
Yeah, up to. Because they just want the peace of mind that they're not going to be rushed and that they can shop for their home and that they can get everything, their paperwork in and everything they need to do to purchase without that added stress.
Right. And Michael, I didn't know that your question was going to take most of our show, but
No, that's okay. And then we didn't even really talk. There's also, if you want to avoid that post addendum, there's also something that you can talk to with a lender, and it's a bridge loan. And so if you want to get a bridge loan, you can pull the equity out of your existing home to use that and purchase the home before you sell your home.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's some companies like WaFd offers that. So yeah, different companies here that offer that. I didn't even think of that. Good.
Yeah, no,
Good note.
a bridge loan's a really good way because then you don't have to having 3 full houses or escrows in a contract. This is just an easy way for a seller to, purchase their next spot.
Yep, absolutely. And don't have to move twice.
Yay! Which moving twice is a nightmare.
Absolutely.
All right, so now we have, is it Lonnie?
Lonnie.
Lonnie, I heard I should homestead my home. Trish, what does that mean?
Yes, homestead is, we recommend it. We're not allowed to give legal advice, so let's just open with that.
In case you didn't know, we're not financial advisors and we're not lawyers.
Yes, absolutely. But homestead is something that I always recommend. I do send the homestead document to buyers at closing with instructions on how to prepare it because it is so simple.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's just one form. It's check a box here, property address, your name, and then notarized.
Yeah, notarized. You submit a recording fee, which I believe is like $47 with the county.
Oh, is it that high? I thought it was like
It raised a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
They've raised it over the last couple years. But you submit it, you can mail it in, you could drop it off in the office, you could do whatever. They record it on the property. It's done. It's there. There's no renewing the fees every year. It's just there.
Right.
If you refinance, do something like that, you may have to record it again. But other than that, it stays there on the property.
Yeah, and a homestead basically protects your owner-occupied home from creditors.
Yeah.
If we didn't say that already, that's
Oh
what
yeah,
it is.
no, that's what that was the next section.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought you were going to the next question because we spent a lot of time on Michael's. I'm like, wait, we should at least tell you what the homestead's for. Why do I need a homestead?
Yeah, so per the county that had the homestead instructions, so the homestead protects your primary residence equity from general creditors up to $605,000.
Correct.
General creditors are things such as unpaid medical bills, bankruptcy, charge card debts, business and personal loans, accidents. But homestead does not protect general creditors from seizing or forcing the sale of your residence.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you could just like not pay anybody and not worry about it.
Right. That's true.
There definitely can still be repercussions, but the homestead does offer a small bit of protection there. And for a one-time, recording fee, I think it's definitely something that you should do. Primary residence only has to be your primary
Yep.
residence in order for you to qualify for a homestead. And you cannot have a homestead on more than one property in Nevada.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I think we finished up that one. So, Danielle, what are special assessments in HOAs and why are they so high? Okay, so we kind of talked about special assessments like a few episodes back, so you might want to go hit that one up, but
Yeah.
we'll cover a lot of that right now. Do you want to start?
Yes, I hate special assessments. Danielle, I'm with you.
I hate HOAs, so there you go.
Yeah. This is one thing that I would say is very important when you get your HOA documents, those CIC resale package.
When you're purchasing in a community, you're going to get a resale package. You have 5 legal days to review that package. It's going to have all sorts of information in it about the health of the community. So go ahead.
And yeah, during that 5 days, if you do not agree with certain things that are in the HOA package, you do have the right to cancel and and retain your EMD. So very important. Don't glaze over that package. Very important to look through it. One thing that could be a good indicator of a potential upcoming issue that you could see in that package is looking at the HOA's reserve fund.
Yes. Because in that packet, you are going to have all the finances for the HOA, if there's any litigation and what their reserves look like. And reserves are so, so, so important.
Yeah. So what reserves are, just like anybody else in a regular homeowner's reserves,
Your
is
savings
like,
account.
what do you do if your roof goes out? You know, you have to have some type of reserves fund to help, you know, with certain things that are unexpected. Well, HOAs have this as well.
Right.
And it could be a various number of items.
Yeah.
And if the reserves are not that stable, and even sometimes that they are, because sometimes the unforeseens are more costly than anybody ever foreseen them being.
Right.
We never can.
Yeah. Well, life, right?
Yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah. There was one HOA that I seen in particular that had a fire, burned down 2 units. The HOA covered, it was a townhouse community. HOA covers all the buildings in the community. Those 2 units burned down. HOA insurance had to take care of that and those buildings and do the coverages on that. And after that, as a repercussion from that happening, what happens when you file an insurance claim? Your rates go up, right?
Indeed.
Based on the amount of the claim. So the insurance rates for the community got so extreme that it turned into a $500 assessment per homeowner to recover that.
Oh,
and
man.
On top of that, sometimes those assessments will have a time limit, such as this assessment will only run for 12 months.
Right.
And whatever, that happens. But in this particular case, the assessment is due to the insurance rates, which in commercial insurance can last 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, so those assessments will be there a minute.
Yeah, so it's kind of unknown how long that assessment's going to be there, and all the HOA can provide is that every year we will review and try to reapply and try to find better insurance, but this is in place until those rates come down.
Yep.
And as a homeowner in a common interest community, you are a common interest owner in everything in that community, and that also means you're in common interest with the fees
debt.
and assessments that are assessed to that community.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we've seen some HOAs in the valley. One of them in particular, which made the news quite a few times, was the one that had someone was, I believe, killed at the gate for a malfunction of the entry gate. No one expected that happening.
Right, that doesn't happen often.
Yes, but the homeowners in the community are all paying for the assessments, the legal fees, everything that came with that, and then depending on how big the community is, that gets dispersed to all the homeowners in the community, and it's if you have a larger community, that disbursements probably that amount per house is probably less.
Yeah, chunked down a bit.
Yeah, but in a smaller community, that's that can get pretty costly.
Yeah, and I just want to say, she said, why are they so high? High is kind of a relative term, right? It
Right.
depends, because sometimes they're not. Sometimes a special assessment might only be, $20, $30 a month more.
Yeah.
And I have seen them be, quote unquote, so high where they're like $300 and $400 a month more, which is shocking to some people.
Yeah, no, I've seen them be very extreme, and I think the lowest I've seen was $32, and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, and they actually had a time frame. I called the HOA before the buyer purchased and was like, hey, how long is this happening? And they said it's going on for 12 months, and they had a set date. There was a certain amount of money that they needed to cover for the assessment, and they had a date of how long it would take for if they assessed each homeowner to recoup that money for their reserves.
Yep.
And that can be an issue for buyers with financing, the loan.
Absolutely, because they'd have to qualify for that special assessment.
Yes, and I did run into a situation where we had to work that out for a buyer on a purchase recently. Had a time frame, had a set amount. We negotiated the seller to pay the total amount to pay off the reserve or the
Special assessment.
the assessment that was assessed to that property, so that monthly assessment would not be relevant. Paid it in full, showed confirmation to the lender. They didn't have to incorporate it into the payment, so all was good and everybody was happy. So that's an option too.
Yeah, and there's actually tons of options. I hate this term, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And we always talk about being a consumer, hiring a professional, making sure that somebody is there guiding you and leading you. Because if you've only done 1 or 2 real estate transactions, bought 1 or 2 houses in your life, you're not really going to have an understanding of all the different moving parts. But having somebody who knows, hey, listen, when you get this CIC package, we're going to want to look at the finances and make sure that the reserves are good, and we're going to want to make sure this and that. Just that guidance is so valuable in these transactions.
Absolutely. And to get that guidance, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, if you wanted me to guide you, you can call me at 702-379-9948. If they have questions and want to talk to you, Trish, how do they get a hold of you?
My phone number is 702-308-2878. 308-2878. Wow.
We're going to say it one more time. 702-308-2878.
I forgot my own number. Wow.
Well, listen, I'm surprised I'm even here today functioning after the week I've had. So, kudos to you.
Yeah, definitely. And guys, if you're watching the show, go to our link tree, realtycheck.vegas. You can find everything about us.
Exactly.
You can contact us. You can follow us on social. You can send listener questions. You can just get everything about us, about the show, all in one spot. So make sure to check out that link tree. And that is realtycheck.vegas.
realtycheck.vegas. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you haven't yet, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button, do all the things so you can stay a part of our community and what is going on in real estate in Las Vegas. We're here every Thursday, and we appreciate you coming out.
Yes, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.